Hello flosstube, it's AM Dreamingstitcher here to bring you an update on what I've been doing with my cross stitch. I expect this to be a short one. I tend to always say that, they're not necessarily short, but I don't have a whole lot to show. I just don't know when I'll be able to film again in the near future, July certainly, so I wanted to get this taken care of. I do have a finish, I have a start, I have some works in progress. So let's begin with the finish, which is not an unexpected or surprising one because it was small. I'm doing the smalls to try to help me actually have some finishes from time to time. So it came from this leaflet that I got at the Friends of the Library for 10 cents. And it's the one down in the corner here, the pear, because I have a fondness for pears in general and stitchy pears when I like the design of them. And if you tuned into previous video, you would have seen my progress on it at that time. I'm stitching it on one of these Bucilla things, and it pretty much came out looking exactly like the picture. I kind of surprise myself every time I look at it because it looks exactly like the picture. Kind of lumpy and bumpy in that light. Could have been smoother stitches. It was done with 4 strands, I believe, and sort of frizzy and fuzzy getting it through the holes. But it's done because it was stitched on something that is a fully finished object in itself. So, yay! It means I don't have to spend time trying to frame it or turn it into anything. Okay, start. I'll show you my start, then I'll show you my works in progress. The start is another small. This is one that actually is going to, if I ever post them, show up in a stash video. I have been filming videos of my ridiculously large stash, and one of them I labeled smalls, which was most of my smalls, not all of them, and I showed this one from Serendipity Designs. Since I haven't posted it yet, you're not crazy if you don't know what I'm talking about, because I haven't posted that yet. But I'm really kind of disappointed with this. This is what the design looks like. Carolyn Meacham, Serendipity Designs, Fine Feathers. I want you to notice, if you can, the colors of this. The soft lilac of the pigeon, the warm peachy tones of the flowers, things like that. That was what I was expecting when I stitched it. And I started it during the last hour and a half or so of my participation in the June 24 hours of cross stitch. I did not get 24 hours done, but I rarely get a lot of stitching done, so for me it was quite an accomplishment. I got 12 hours done in the 48-hour window. That's a lot for me. Anyway, I did this at the end, and I had to sort all the flosses and everything. And the reason I'm disappointed is because these colors are absolutely nothing like the colors in the image. That's not a soft lilac, it's out and out purple. What looks like sort of a mulberry is black. The warm peachy colors are going to be harsh pinks. Here's my bag of threads. It isn't what I thought it was going to be. He doesn't look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch it up. But if I still am as unhappy with it when I'm done as I'm feeling now, I may save this chart and get some floss that is more like the colors that photograph is. Nothing wrong with that. And just get my own fabric, my own floss, and stitch it up so that it looks like the picture. So I haven't worked on him since the beginning of June. It's been a month since I worked on him because I was not really happy with that. I just wasn't. By the way, the first hour and a half or so of my 12 hours that I did in Jen Lee's 24 hours of cross stitch is what I spent finishing the pear. I actually had done a little work on him between my last video and the beginning of June, but I used the first hour and a half to stitch that up. So what did I do? If I did an hour and a half on the pear and an hour and a half on this kind of disappointing pigeon, what did I do with the rest of my 9 hours out of 12 that I managed to do for the 24 hours of cross stitch? Well, I did 9 hours on my Bernat carousel lion. This is what he is more or less going to look like when he's done. And I have not yet finished the cross stitches on him, but I made progress in my 9.5 hours. He got legs, he got a pole, there's his back legs, he got his pole since he's a carousel horse, lion, excuse me, and I started on the border. Haven't done any of the, fancy stuff, French knots and lazy daisies and backstitch and all of that, but he has progressed. There's not very good light today, I'm sorry. It's a cloudy day, and none of these colors are going to look like the colors ought to look. But my lion is coming along. 9 hours to do the legs, the pole, and that border. Yeah, takes a while. Cross stitch is not a quick hobby. Not at all. So that's 3 of the 5 things that I worked on. So those were all wrapped up by the beginning of June. So what was I doing with the rest of the last 4 weeks? Because the 24 hours of cross stitch was on June 5th, and I am filming on July 7th. So I must have been doing something in the last 4 weeks. Well, I've actually been doing a lot of things, but I must have been doing some stitching in that time. Yes, I was. Most of the time that I spent in the last 4 weeks on any kind of stitching was on my Monarch Horizons Japanese koi. This should not come as no surprise to anyone that saw my Stitch and Chat with Me video. I was working on them, and you saw that I, at that time, had finished up, not counting backstitching, everything but the blue shading under that top fish. So, what else did I get done since then and in all that other time? I started on their backstitching. So here are my Japanese koi. 4 of the 8 have been backstitched. This piece is nearly done. Nearly done. And I think they're looking nice. Obviously they need ironing. Look at all those horrible hoop marks. But I'm pretty happy with my koi. One of the things going on is I told myself at the beginning of June I wanted to set some goals for June and July. I don't normally do that, but I had a lot of goals. One of them was to try to read a book every week, try to get a whole bunch of things off of my to-do list, try to do one of the many projects that I ambitiously gather materials for and don't actually do. What kind of projects? Oh, you name it. They have nothing to do with cross stitch, but I've got a lot accumulated. And so I was trying to work through all these goals, and one of them was to finish 3 of my works in progress. That pigeon, by the way, came with a John James needle. And I have not finished 3. Well, if you count the pear, but when I made my goal, I wasn't really thinking of the pear. So I'm definitely behind. It looks like I could definitely get the koi done. That would be 1. That carousel lion is way too far from the finish for me to hope to finish him in July, because July is so busy. But I do have hopes of finishing another, which, well, let's see where I put the... This is the other thing I worked on. This is the one that I might be able to knock out as a finish for the summer. I'm working, as you probably know, on the top one, which is Flock Together. The bottom one is Birds of a Feather. The top one is Flock Together. And they are coming along. For some reason, the berries are exhausting to work on. I don't know. They have 7 symbols in them. That shouldn't be a big deal. 3 of them are blends. That shouldn't be a big deal. I think it's the fractional stitches and the color chart that's so difficult to read. because they don't mark what color any of the fractionals are supposed to be. And so it takes so much concentration to do those berries. Let's unroll a little bit so you can see to the top. Oh, I did do a tiny, tiny bit of the back stitching up here just to see what it was going to look like. Like a tiny bit on that branch. Don't know if you can tell. There's a little bit of back stitching. And what did I do since seeing you last? Well, look at that little face staring at you folks. My little bird finally has a face. He needs his back stitching, of course, but he has a face. So I did him, and I did 6 berries, and I still have 7 berries to go. So the 6 that I did, it was really 5.5, because this one was already started. I did 2 berries here, 2 berries here, and 2 berries there. That was over the past week, I guess, past few days. Everything before that was pretty much my koi, because every one of those koi has more than 1,000 stitches in it, which for me is more than 10 hours of work, or about 10 hours. And I just, as I said, I don't get that much stitching done. So to finish up 3 koi was a lot for me. It's about an hour a day, I guess. If 3 koi took 30 hours, and I had 30 days, then yeah, that's about the best I can do. Anyway, there we go. So if I persevere and slog through those last 7 berries, I can start backstitching that one pretty thoroughly, and I can wrap up the backstitching on my koi, and that'll give me 2 finishes. I don't think I'm going to be able to get 3 in July. Maybe there's a really small chance I could have a new start with a finish, but July is so booked up. I have so much to do. Okay, I said this would be short. I do want to show you something I got at Friends of the Library, because I had a very exciting find. So I have been watching other flosstube videos, and I'm still filming my stash like totally separately, so I'm not going to show you other things I might have acquired this month, but I want to show you what I got at the Friends of the Library yesterday, because watching Robert's Palace of Stitches, and he was showing all these things he found at a thrift store, and Romantic Tangle was showing some things that she got, and just, other folks showing these finds they had. I couldn't take it anymore, and when I was watching Robert's, I had errands to run, so I admit I actually paused the video, got all my things together to run my errands, and went to the Friends of the Library while I was out, because I was feeling so envious of him finding things. And I found 4 things, and one of them is actually totally exciting, and the others are, they're okay. So I'll go ahead and show you all 4, just because they all came from the same place. One was his magazine I never heard of, Mary Hickmott's New Stitches. Apparently it was printed in the UK. I don't know if it's still printed. This is issue 253. I guess it was a monthly magazine. That is a really nice, interesting little sampler there, but I will never be able to stitch it, because it's a 2-part series, and only the first 6 pages of that sampler are in here. If you look at their little guide, the top 6 pages are in this issue, the bottom 3 were in the next issue, and Lord knows where to find that. I sure don't. I never even heard of the magazine. They didn't have the other issue at Friends of the Library. I tried looking at eBay just to see, and people do sell copies of this magazine for like $8 or more a piece, 8 to 20. So if I ever did see that issue, I'm not going to pay that just to get 3 pages of a sampler when there's so many other beautiful samplers out there. I'm sorry. But it was a pretty sampler. There are some tractors in there. That's okay. I don't know a lot about doing hardinger and cut work. She has like directions on how to do that. That's nice. Why did I get this? Why did they get the 25 cents out of me then? There's some interesting articles. They got my 25 cents because of the little goldfish band, which actually is beads, but you can do it as cross stitch, and these cats. I know too many cat aficionados to pass up those little cats. They have, obviously there's two different models of cat there, but it's all black work and that kind of thing, filling in stitches. And I thought, I bet I could make those cats for somebody as a gift someday. Find out how much I like or don't like black work, trying to do something small like that. So I bought it for the Fancy Felines. And it's an interesting magazine. And if I only had issue 254, that's a nice sampler. But I can't do anything about it. I'm never going to have issue 254, so oh well. Okay, that was 25 cents. That was not the exciting find. This one, I don't know if there's anything in here I'll ever stitch. It was 50 cents. Absolutely pristine condition. Donna Coolers, 555 cross-stitch motifs, home, family, children, animals. 50 cents, almost nothing in here is really my style. But as I was leafing through, I got to the last sampler in the book, and this is the kind where some of the designs are actually stitched up, but a lot of them aren't, so I can't show most of them to you because it's just pattern. But if you look closely at that, there are two things that struck me. One, you see the elephant, giraffe, tiger, and so on? That is the main design of the artiste kit that I already stitched. The Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark is the same, designer pattern, obviously. This is just the jungle one that makes me think of the Noah's Ark I got at the same time. I have those. I have them. Don't believe me? Hang on a moment. I'm going to pause you and remind you what I've got. Hopefully my microphone is still in a good spot. Look at that. Now, obviously, I don't need a chart. The border is different here. But that is definitely the design in this book. So I thought if they have that artiste design, maybe they have some other interesting little designs from artiste kits. And in fact, looking at it, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that those dogs are from the I Love Dogs kit that artiste made. I think the last one I saw working on it was New Mexico Stitching Demon. I could be wrong. Might be a different one. But look at the little dogs. I wonder if they were that kit. Anyway, I thought there might be other interesting artiste designs. I didn't come across a whole lot. But there are a few little animals that I liked in the animal section. And I can't really show them all to you, but there were a couple of rabbits, mainly. Some goats. Let me hold them back for a moment. And I will cover up the key so you can't use the key at least. Look at those goats. Beautiful goats. There's some rabbits, some things like that I think I might like to stitch. So for 50 cents, maybe. That was not the exciting find. No. The exciting find was something totally exciting. And no, it wasn't this. But this cost just as much. This was $1. And my super exciting find was also $1. But this is the Reader's Digest Complete Book of Cross-Stitch and Counted Thread Techniques, and I wasn't expecting a lot from it. And there's not a whole lot of exciting in it. It's another one where not everything is stitched up, and you kind of have to look at the potential. But it had a bunch of, quick glance, animals. I liked the animals. Another quick glance. Animals. Okay. But in addition to the lovely animals and borders and all kinds of things, it tells you about different kinds of techniques. I hope you all don't mind those flashes of pattern too much. Here's your table of contents. So we do have cross-stitch and some of the history of cross-stitch and cross-stitch techniques. It has pattern darning and black work. It has open work of various kinds. Pulled work, hardinger, drawn thread. It just looked useful, helpful, interesting. But besides the cute animals, another pattern that caught my interest, seashells, was these houses. Now this, I don't have to flash a pattern. I just have to hold it so that you can't see the pattern. Pardon my maneuvers. I liked, can you see them? Those landscapes. I thought they were interesting. I wasn't expecting them in this book, in a Reader's Digest. So that was the Reader's Digest Complete Book of Cross Stitch and Counting Thread Techniques. It seems to be available widely online, very cheap. Another cheap one, most of those very cheap. My last find, the reason I am showing you and making you sit through this haul from the Friends of the Library, is not generally cheap online. Certainly not $1, which is what I paid. I was very excited. Now, there's a caveat there. I don't plan to stitch anything in here the way it is, but there are sections of what's here that I would love to stitch, several that I would love to stitch. So what did I find for $1? Now I don't have to feel so envious of others when they show me things that are totally exciting that I can never find. The Best of Teresa Wentzler Sampler Collection. I don't even want to think about what it costs online. There are 8 samplers in here. If you look at the back, you can see what most of them look like. I'm going to just go ahead and show you at the front they have the illustrations. So they have one they call Harvest Sampler. Did I smack the microphone? Sorry. It has some wheat in it and some apples. I guess that's why it's a Harvest Sampler. I know the lighting is terrible, but that's Teresa Wentzler's Harvest Sampler. Next one is the one where there are a couple of sections I would do. This she calls Camelot. I love the Jousting Knights, border and all. I can imagine doing just the knights. And that little castle at the bottom, Camelot, is so similar to her miniature castle kit that I have. I can't tell how much glare you're getting. I think that castle would be nice to do. So the Jousting Knights and the castle. I hope it's not as washed out as it's looking to me from my angle. The next one is her Fantasy Sampler. Now, I admit I have a bunch of magazines that have some of her samplers in them. I don't know if any of these are in there. I'm not sure that they are. And I love all 4 of the corner motifs here. I can imagine stitching them individually as ornaments or as little pillows or something, although I can't finish pillows. But the griffin, the unicorn, that's her Camelot sampler. Then she has the English Cottage sampler. I love Roman numerals. Look, it's got Roman numerals at the bottom, 1 through 10. Her usual lovely borders and things that she does. It has a birth announcement with some lady angels there. I've given you my opinions on feminine angels before. I prefer the kind with fiery swords, but it's okay. Another lovely Teresa design. It has Christmas sampler. For some reason, she's like Santa baby. We got some lady dressed up in Santa furs with the most stiff-gaited looking horse I've ever seen in a cross-stitch design. That poor horse can't move at all. And a nice little sleigh. Very bright, pretty colors, beautiful borders. Nice wintry theme going on there. Don't let me pick on the horse. I've told you before. It's just I'm fussy about horse art. But nice Teresa design nonetheless. There's her wedding sampler. I bet those flowers are a pain to do, but very pretty. And the last one, I missed one somewhere. I turned too many pages at once. Yeah, I sure did. Hang on, before I show the last one, I skipped over unintentionally the English Garden Sampler. I think that's the one Blitz Stitch has been doing. I would not try to do the whole thing, even though it has lovely peacocks in it. I would do that top panel with the peacock and the pillars and the fountain. And since I have the book, I have that option. And the last one is one with cut work and such in it. She calls it Heart Sampler. So those are the 9, if I said 8 it was a mistake, the 9 samplers that are in the Teresa Wensler, Best of Teresa Wensler Sampler Collection. I don't know if there's more than one of those collections or not. I know she has like 2 fantasy collections. If I ever get around to filming my stash videos on my books, you'll see what other Teresa's I have, and other books. And you'll probably see these again because they'll be in the stash by then, but I don't know who watches which videos, so they'll probably get repeated. Anyway, that was very exciting. I felt like that was worth the trip into town. So that's it for me today. Not as short as I expected, but I had some stitching for you. I had some progress. I had some haul that I wouldn't have inflicted on you, except that I thought that Teresa Wensler was so exciting. And when will I film again? I'm not sure. As I said, July is just packed. I know it's only the 7th, but I have so much coming up. I have a lot of annual appointments, special training at work, hoping to make a visit. Just a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. As I said in my last update video, it's really nice to be able to show what I've been working on to people who can appreciate what I'm talking about, who know what cross stitch is. I'm just so happy that bird has a face now. Who can appreciate the effort that goes into our wonderful craft. And just thank you. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much. Anybody that comments, that's always very kind of you. I'm terrible at replying, but I do read what you say and it is appreciated. Anybody who just views, thank you. Views are good too. And if you do see any videos in the near future, it'll probably be me starting to post my Stash Acquired Beyond Life Expectancy videos, which I have more to film. I think I've only filmed half of them. I have like 6 or 7 at the moment. I have too much stash, just face it. But maybe within another, I don't know, maybe sometime in August, I'll be able to show you some progress, some finishes. I'm hoping for the koi and the birds, and who knows what else. We will see. Y'all have a great whatever, where you are, and please feel free to tune in to any past or future videos you see from me. Thanks very much. Bye.